Good morning, everybody. It is Cathy here at the Magical Urban Vegetable Garden. I hope you are having a lovely Sunday. It is beautiful out here. I have to say allergies are a little out of control today, so if I randomly start sneezing, well, try and hold this off until the end of the Facebook Live. I do apologize in advance. So today I want to talk to you about growing your own cilantro. Now, there's two camps when it comes to cilantro. People either love it or they hate it. If you are one of those people that hate it, it tastes like soap, you're one of those genetically, gifted people where it tastes like soap, this probably isn't for you. But for those of us that love cilantro and can just never get enough, it can be a bit of a pain, especially if you're always having to run to the grocery store for more and there's just not enough. Maybe the grocery store is out. And it is really surprisingly easy to grow yourself. Now, when I started growing it a few years ago, I was under the same impressions as, everyone else. It's an exotic sort of herb. It comes from, hot tropical countries, which is true. I didn't know how it was going to go. I couldn't find a whole lot of information at the time, especially for growing it up on the northern coast of British Columbia. But it really, really surprised me on so many levels. Cilantro, despite, coming from very hot countries, actually grows very well in the cool weather of spring and fall. It does exceptionally well in, all the torrential rain that we get here, and just really, really thrives. Now, the great thing about cilantro, and I think about, which is why it is so popular in, the hot countries like India and, Thailand and Asia, places where it's been used for hundreds or thousands of years, is that when it goes to seed in the hot weather, the leaves and stems are still, hey Chris, how are you? The leaves and stems are still very tender. The taste goes a little bit milder. It's not quite as strong as before it goes to seed. But the seeds, of course, can be saved and used in cooking as coriander seed. And so it is very tasty that way as well. So it's really a dual purpose plant. Not all herbs or plants can you use the seeds from. Some of them just have zero value in flavor or anything else. And coriander isn't one of those. So you can use it in hot season in certain ways, and you can use it in the cool season. So the big thing with cilantro is that it's not what we would call a cut and come again sort of herb, like maybe mint or even basil or chamomile, where you can take and cut handfuls of it, and in short order it will grow back. Once you cut it, it tends to be done for that planting, and you need to either plant again or make sure that it's self-sown along the way. So especially if you're growing in pots, you want to do what is succession planting, or out in your garden succession planting too. But if you go through a lot of cilantro, you might want a bigger or smaller pot. You might have to experiment. Plant one every Sunday or every 2 Sundays till you have 4 or 5 different pots in a row, so that you have a continuous supply. This is something that you can mark in your phone or in your gardening calendar, whatever works for you. Take a few minutes every couple of weeks to plant your supply of cilantro, and you can keep it going. Now, where do you get the seed, especially in winter, because it's not always available? Now, I am a huge proponent of making sure that the seeds that you get are from viable sources. They're bred for resistance to disease. They have good genetics. They come from people that actually care about these things. However, in the case of cilantro, I have discovered that buying it off the shelf, you can get bags of it if you go to your ethnic section of your grocery store, usually works very well. Now, this doesn't work for most seeds from there, and there's a couple reasons for it. So, you can try growing some of the stuff that you get, some of the seeds from there, but there's certain things that you need to consider. Is that it's going to depend on how long the seeds have been sitting in a warehouse or shelf as to whether they will still grow. And, for a lot of things that might not be true. especially if you don't use them as much. Like there's a lot of spices that we only use small amounts of, so you get a big bag of it, and you'll work your way through it very slowly. It's great for cooking, but it's not necessarily great for planting. However, in the case of coriander, if you have coriander, people tend to go through it fairly quickly, especially if you're into, Thai or Middle Eastern cuisine. It tends to get used a lot. And so I think that probably the supplies on the shelves just move a lot quicker. So I grab it by the bagful, and we of course have a big container on our shelf. And here's the great thing about cilantro that I discovered when I planted it. Plant it in a section of your garden. You can tuck handfuls in here and there between all your other stuff. You have a little space, stick some seeds in, let it grow on its own. Let it go to seed. It will come back year after year. It's like Christmas without the religion. It will, pop up here and there. Now you probably want to have, um, set, set places where you grow it, so it's easy to harvest and you kind of know it's coming. But I have parsley and cilantro that I planted, good Lord, 5-6 years ago, that I have never replanted since, that just keep popping up in little places all over the garden, so I can always go harvest a few leaves and just use them. However, it's very easy to grow. Hey Julianne, good to see you. The big thing with cilantro is, of course, like I said, your succession planting. It likes, it seems to be fairly resilient when it comes to wherever it's planted. Make sure that it's well draining soil, with a little bit of compost amendment. But really, it is just so easy to have around, and the fact that we pay so much for it every year, coming coming from the grocery store, just blew my mind once I figured out how easy it was to actually plant it. So what I do, and I'm going to be doing today because I need more patches, is to go around with my container and just take and sprinkle it in. You want about maybe a 1/4 inch of soil over it once it's watered and done. Normally it will take about 5 to 10 days, provided your soil's over 15 degrees. Like it does like somewhat, fairly warm soil to be able to germinate. It's not like, spinach that'll do it at, 6 degrees. But in 5 to 10 days, especially for the heat that we're having here now, you should see it popping up. Just keep it damp. It shouldn't be drying out. It does tend to like to be a little bit damper. And let me know how it goes. It is one of the best, and there's nothing like fresh cilantro on your, butter chicken, or your, in your Thai noodle salad or something, right? So anyways, I hope that helps. Leave me a comment below, and thanks for being here or for watching this wherever you are, and I will talk to you again soon.